Hello, everyone. Brandon Love and Tom Moffat here. Welcome to this week's episode of Commission Breath. And this is going to be a bit of a shock, maybe to some of you. It's something that we've been mulling over and wrestling with back and forth for a bit. But this is going to be the last episode of Commission Breath, at least for a little while.
Fuck, man. I don't know where to take it from here, but basically, like you said, it's been something we've been thinking about for a while, and it's bittersweet. We've been doing this for how long now? Almost 2 years, maybe. We've enjoyed it. It's been a crazy ride, but for us, you guys know, like, shiny object is real, and this isn't a shiny object. It's more so like we've taken on a lot over the years of doing this, and we felt that now is a really good time for us to dial in on what we're trying to accomplish, cut out anything that's not helping us obtain our goals in mind. This isn't really something that's permanent. Might revisit this in the future, but as of right now, we just need to free up some more time for us to focus on building Tango, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. We often talk about being ruthlessly efficient with your time, about putting the blinders on, cutting out the noise, and just focusing on what really matters. And I think Tom and I kept mulling over where we saw the podcast going. Is it something we scale? Did we get sponsorship? Did we get more guests? Did we do this? Did we do that? And then we built out a lot of models of where do we actually want our life and our business to go. And one of the things we realized is that, like, we do love training. We love sharing content. We love interacting with you guys, meeting you at events, the DMs, all that stuff. It does fill our bucket. But really where our heart was and is pouring all of that energy into the growth of Tango Ontario and into the experiences of the agents that have come to join us there. So we're going to build out some really awesome stuff for them. So those of you that are listening and are with Tango Ontario, you have something to look forward there. And those of you who aren't, maybe it's worth having a chat. We never wanted this podcast to be something that's like directly always trying to push there. That's not like some of the other podcasts out there, but a natural side effect of talking about mortgages all the time.
And it's something that we're excited about, right? So obviously we're going to chat about Tango here and there. You touched on a good point. Like, we explored the route of possibly building out like a scenario of having sponsors to support the podcast and actually get some revenue from this. And it's like, at the end of the day, we probably could have, like, we actually never really tried to find a sponsor this whole time. And we're paying a good amount of money to just host this podcast. And we're like, what if we can just find a lender, someone in the mortgage space that's like a tech software or something that can help us pay for the podcast and then, pay for our time as well. And we could have gone that route and likely could have got a sponsor, but then we're just like, what if we just put that effort into building Tango? And that was really like the deciding factor there. It's like running a podcast is almost like a separate business if you want to scale it that way and have sponsors and you're maintaining a relationship with the sponsor. It's not just an easy like, hey, let's set it and forget it and get this like whatever X amount of dollars override every single month. It's not really how sponsorships work. So that was the deciding factor as to which avenue and route we should go. And that's what led us to this decision.
Yeah. So I think going out in style, that's why I've got the fur on the back here, because someone told me it looked like I was in a wheelchair.
You look like early 2000s rapper.
That's actually how I feel today. Like, I feel a little gangster. I think it would be cool to touch on some of the highlights of the pod and episodes that a lot of you reached out and were excited about. So let's do that, Tom.
Yeah, well, you go first. I didn't really think about this piece. You obviously have some top of mind.
Yeah, I sprung it on you. I think a lot of people got into doing asks more as a result of commission. That's one thing that I always get DMs about is like, hey, I'm consistent with asks. Like, it's really worked in my business. And we've talked about that since like the beginning, probably like episode 3.
I think that was episode 1 or 2. Like, I think it was our first like full length episode was the ask muscle.
Yeah. So like we've obviously always kept that theme, and that's something that people have like reached out and said it's made such a huge difference in their business. And I was always super stoked about that because that was the one thing that really changed my business and helped me go from like being a poor farmer to earning an income and having a gangster for a throw on my chair.
I would agree. Ask muscle for sure is there. It's funny, like if you look at the different directions we started taking our business and our viewpoints on things, like if you go to earlier episodes, we were just like realtors. That's the only way to scale and build your business. And it's like the most efficient way. And we were always a bit skeptical on social and whether like that was something that can feed your business from like an actual regular cadence and leads. And I feel like I've debunked that myth for myself. Like I always thought like social was this thing that you should build out for many reasons. But at the end of the day, can you just build a thriving business off of referral partners and do that forever? Sure, you can, but I've sort of gone on the other side now where I know social media fucking works. Like I just know now because of the amount of leads I get from it on a regular cadence now. You're building an asset that you're not relying on other realtors. It's a really clarifying thought that I don't have to rely on realtors anymore. So I guess that's one of my parting takeaways and notes for you as a listener is don't be so blinded to something and shut your blinders on and other opportunities, like explore it and you'd be surprised what actually works. And social media does work.
Yeah, another one for me was just the evolution of our client journey. And I think it was really cool to constantly have different insights from people who would message us or come on as guests. And thank you to anyone who came on as a guest who's listening. But it was great to like take all of that stuff and then iterate and apply it to our business. And I think our client journey right now is pretty cool because it's been this like evolved form of where we started talking on the podcast, hearing different ideas, changing it, revising, revisiting. And now it's pretty awesome. Not to pat ourselves on the back too much, but I think it's one of the good ones. And a lot of that has come from just like every week talking here, thinking of new ideas. How can we improve this? How can we improve that? It's just kind of constantly grown our viewpoint on the business. And to that note, like also our skills and communication and all that stuff. So thank you to those of you who have listened because you've given us an opportunity to practice and evolve as individuals as well.
Yeah, I'm sure at some point we'll do this, but if we went back to earlier episodes and actually listened to those, I'm sure we would sound awful, or we would think in our heads that we sounded awful compared to what we sound now. We're by no means perfect. We're still idiots up here, but I'd like to think we improved over the 2 years. And that's the thing. Like if you're thinking about exploring a podcast for your own business or YouTube, social, whatever the case is, like the very worst case scenario, if you're not going to get leads from what you're doing, you're still developing a skill. And I think like doing commission breath for 2 years has definitely helped me communicate better for sure.
All right, everyone, we will leave it at that, short and sweet. But one last ask for all of you is if you see us at an event, come say hi.
Sayonara.
Peace out.